of realizing that you were made for this life. You had things happen to you that you don't understand. There's things that happen to you that you don't like, but it's for your highest good. So, as painful as it was, or as unfair as it was, or unjust as it was, it makes you think that somebody has it worse than you. It doesn't make the pain any less, but it makes you realize that you came to this planet to learn, to grow, to evolve. So you want to be in your highest timeline. That means you need to go through things that you don't understand, or you don't know, or you don't agree with. And things happen to you, and you're like, okay, that's not fair. So what do I do now? And that's kind of the idea, because you don't know what to do, but that's a good place to be, because then you can adapt and grow and mold and evolve into what you're supposed to be. So if you have no idea, it's kind of like a brand new blueprint of what you're supposed to do in life. And when you get to that point and you're like, okay, I don't know what to do, and it's the best feeling in the world, because you're like, I can only get better than this. It can only be better than this. And then you know, because you're like, okay, this is where I was. The past version of me, this is where I was. But now I'm in a future version of me, and I don't really have the slightest clue of what I should do. But it's so comforting, because you're constantly growing and evolving and learning new things and being like, okay, this is different. It feels the same, but it's different than where I was before. But it's different because I have a different framework. I have a different mindset. I have a different outlook. So it's different to me because it feels similar to past experiences, but it's different because you evolved, grew, and changed in a certain circumstances. And you learn things, and you're like, okay, this is amazing because I'm a different version, even though it feels like a similar version, but the world is different now than it was then. So you're like, huh, I'm a different person. I might be in the same circumstances, but that does not mean those are my circumstances that are going to be with me for the rest of my life. So that's where you can find comfort in the idea of realizing that similar things feel similar, but things are different because you are a different, evolving than you were before. So when you get to peace at that, and you're like, okay, what is my purpose? My purpose is like multiple purposes. I don't have just one purpose. I have multiple purposes. So when you get to that point of your multiple purposes of what you're supposed to do, and you're like, okay, they're not coming into fruition the way I want to yet, they're not evolving into where I'm supposed to be at this moment, then you're like, okay, I'm growing into the person that I'm supposed to be, and I'm evolving into the person that I'm supposed to be, because it's constantly changing, it's constantly evolving into where I need to go. And when you're at that point and that piece of it looks the same, but it's not the same because you're different. The situation might be the same, but you're different in a similar situation, but then the outcome's going to be different. than where it was before, because you're looking at it through a different point of view and you're looking at it through a different lens. So it looks like this, but in all reality, that's not exactly what it looks like, because you can change it, evolve it, create it into something else. So it looks like this. So if you add a little bit of color to it, or you add a little bit of what? Structure to it, and then just go from there, it could be a totally different blueprint. And then when you figure that out, then you're like, wow, okay, so this is all working out the way it needs to. It's all changing the way it needs to. I see it through a point of view, but tomorrow my point of view might be different than it is today, because I'm constantly evolving, changing, and seeing things from a different point of view. And when you get to that point, you're like, huh, so I'm living in a world of abundance. I can do whatever I want. I can live a life of my dreams, even though it looks a certain way today, doesn't mean it's going to look a certain way tomorrow.